This is always a hard subject when we talk about Canada losing one of her sons to suicide. Can you please tell us about Sergeant John Little and how a tragedy is turning into a safety net for other first responders and service members?
Yeah, I mean, talking about John is one of my favorite things to do now. He was 36 years old when he passed in 2021. He had an 18-year military career with 2 tours to Afghanistan. He was on Roto 108 and 309. And, he just, I recently said in a speech that he was a complex and beautiful soul. And I think that that's probably one of the best ways to describe him. He, had the toughness and, the toughness that is required in the military. He was very black and white, which I think is probably military-esque. But he loved to create, and he was, a poet and a songwriter, and loved to draw and make models and do all sorts of things that way as well. So it's really interesting to see sort of those very different aspects of John and how they come out of one person. So, he joined the military basically right out of high school. From the time that he was in grade 4, and he met a prisoner of war at school who had come in to do a talk. He knew that he wanted to be in the military. Him and his best friend at the time both decided early on that that's what they wanted to do. John went into infantry, and his best friend is a Padre. So, after grade 12, graduating, and Dad kind of said, well, you're not sitting around the house, so what are you doing? You're getting a job, or you're joining the military, or doing whatever. And John went and wrote his military testing in Sarnia at the armories there, and was off to Saint Jean in December. So, and he loved it. He thrived there. There's been a lot of stories from guys who will tell you all about how, he really didn't care about what the powers that be could do to him. If he didn't agree with something, he made sure they knew it. And but he had absolutely no problem putting in the work. He wasn't there to complain, and he wasn't there to disrupt anything. He just felt like there was better ways to do things, and he made sure that his opinions were known on that. But, he was a jokester too, right? So they'd be out on course or doing some terrible task that they make you guys do. And he'd be making jokes the whole time, or singing some made up song that he made up about how, brutal this particular exercise was, or something like that. Just anything that really sort of brought the morale up of the troops around him, and, really made everybody else feel good as they were going through hell. So I remember when he was in Afghanistan, both times I sent gift packs over all the time, to the point where he actually had to ask me to stop. It's like, you need to slow down. So, all the guys would always get all excited whenever Johnny got mail, because it was always some big box of random stuff from me. And one of the things that he asked me for in one of the few, ICQ or whatever we were using at the time, I don't even remember now, calls that him and I had, was a pair of roller skates. I'm like, what are you going to do with roller skates? There's sand everywhere. But a pair of roller skates, not roller blades, but actual roller skates with all 4 wheels, and a Speedo. I'm like, what are you doing? So his intention was, and I don't know if it ever actually happened or not, I haven't seen the video if it did, was to do a music video over there to Rihanna's Umbrella. In a Speedo and roller skates. I was like, of course you are. Sure.
Weird things happen when you're trying to stay amused.
And John was good at it, right? His creative side really helped him, pull out all of these different ideas and come up with these, ridiculous things to do or say or whatever to keep himself amused as well as the people who were serving with him. So, you know, he just he had a fun nature about him. And if he wasn't teasing me or our youngest brother, in some way, like it just wasn't John. You knew something was kind of eating at him or whatever. I remember when we were doing the ice bucket challenge back in the day. And so, of course, I got nominated by somebody. And so I'm standing in my bathtub in a bikini because where else are you going to do it in downtown Toronto, which is where I was at the time. And, dumped this bucket of ice on my head. And I nominated John as one of the people. Well, John's the type to make sure that he outdoes you. Like he wants to be bigger and better and, have the greater impact. And so they were driving across Canada to one of the shooting challenges or CAFSAC, is that right? Anyway, so they were driving and he went and bought a pink bikini with a pink bicycle helmet. And then they lifted up this massive recycle bin full of ice and water and lifted it up on like one of these like U-Haul tailgate things that lift up. And two guys dumped it over his head. And somewhere floating around on Facebook, this video still exists, and everybody who comes across it, loves it and thinks it's hilarious, and we all forget about it. And then eventually somebody comes across it again, and you get that opportunity to watch. But it's just he was such a funny guy, and but had a way of being really serious about the things that needed to be serious. And it's one of the things that I miss the most about him is that ability to have that humor in sort of these difficult times. And I think that's part of, what I'm trying to do a little bit and some of what we're doing here. So.
Thanks for your time. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help grow the show. And remember, get back up.